I'm asking for. You're basically starting to build into a style of breath work, a pace that feels right in your body, that forward and backward motion. But if you know you have a particular habit, if you're a person who tends to move slow, maybe see what it feels like to move a little bit faster. If you're a person who tends to move fast, maybe see what happens when you move slow. Pay attention to finding the full arc or the full shape, that if you're moving too fast, you might find that the body isn't quite landing in its most, I guess the word would be like the most extreme or the most expanded variation of that front to back movement. And then bringing the body to stillness, turning your palms to face up and just taking a moment to pause. So really important in breath work, we plant the seed, which is in the stillness. And then in the movement, we start to feed it, to nourish it. It becomes the water, the sunshine, the warmth. Let your eyes blink open, reach your arms up above your head now. You're gonna turn your palms to face in towards one another. Nice and relaxed through the shoulders. This is our Kapalabhati breathing. So you're in more of a V than hands towards the head. I want you to imagine that you had antennas now, and that these antennas were working to reach out and to gather the energy of this community that we're practicing with, that by bringing the arms up above the head, you're more receptive, you're more able to connect in. And at the same time, you're connecting down into the earth, those sits bones on the block that you're sitting on or on the mat. And we're pumping the belly in and back, and it'll either be through the nose or through the mouth, and it'll look like this. Or, again, close your eyes. We're gonna do 100 of these. So the arms might start to fatigue, but as best as you can, keep reaching up through those arms and find that sniff out through your nose or your mouth, bringing it into your lower belly. If you want, you can keep the count in your brain. So there becomes a beginning and a middle and an end of this experience. Almost there, home stretch. Keep pumping that lower belly back and in, that you should start to feel the warmth, that there might even be a little bit of a sense of tingling through your arms, through the space of your lower belly as you build this power, this potency. Last big breath in, fill up all the way up, normal inhale, and then hold your breath at the top, bringing the tongue to the roof of your mouth as you reach through your fingers and as you press your sits bones down. And then as you feel like you start to have held the breath just a little bit longer than is comfortable, exhale and let your hands release all the way down to the tops of the knees. Palms facing up towards the ceiling, softening through your shoulders, through the front of the chest. And so after we are active, we find grace, we find peace, we find stillness. Last little bit of breath work. Let's bring the arms out to the sides of the body. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna sweep the arms up above the head on an inhale, and then exhale them to the sides, palms facing away. So arms are gonna cross, it's a little bit of a rounding through your spine, a scoop in the tail, and then hands come down. Inhale up, exhale out, opening and closing. Again, the arms are probably going to feel a little bit of a burn. And this is one of the most powerful things that our pranayama practice often does for us, is that we bump up against what we think we're capable of. We bump up against this feeling of frustration or anxiety, and we keep going. We keep moving. Inhale up, exhale back, opening and closing. So we're pulling the energy from the spine all the way up to the crown of the head, even above the crown of the head. Crossing the arms and bringing the arms back. We keep going for 5, 4, 3, 2, And 1. Let those hands float back down to the tops of the thighs, slow and controlled. Feeling the breath return to a normal, slow breath in and out through the nose. Maybe that exhale takes just a little bit longer than your breath in, and we're feeling into the space of the body. So letting yourself pay attention to the sensations that you feel, not just on the surface, but kind of in the dark spaces, in the spaces that feel a little bit more challenging to connect to. Bring your hands, one to the belly, one to the chest, and if it's setting an intention is of value to you, maybe taking a moment to think of this as planting a seed, that we're still in the beginning of spring and that this is an opportunity to cultivate something that you would like to bring into the world. It could be a project, it could be a creative endeavor, or it could simply be an image or a word. But go ahead and plant your seed. Big breath in, fill up. Open mouth, exhale. Let your eyes blink open. Let's transition. So we're gonna ride the wave of all of that juicy creative energy that we're hoping to cultivate. Now's a good time to start the music if you're going to utilize it. And we're gonna bring ourselves into a downward facing dog. So taking the sides of the waist up and back. First downward facing dog, you can take it for a little bit of a walk. So you're pedaling it out in place. You're moving it side to side. And I'm gonna offer feedback to you guys throughout the course of the practice. If anybody feels like they don't want feedback, you're welcome to chime in and just let me know. So from that downward facing dog, finding whatever actions that you want, side to side, right to left, maybe wagging the head a little bit. And then bending both of your knees, lifting your sits bones, which are the bones in your butt, way up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, press both heels down. Start to draw that belly button in and back. And we'll do that 2 more times. Bend your knees, poke your butt way up towards the sky so you're creating more of a curve in your spine. And exhale, press your heels way down towards the floor and pull the navel towards the spine. Last one, inhale, lift up high on the balls of the feet. Exhale, stretch out through the backs of your legs. Now let's look forward to the hands, take a walk, feet all the way up to the top of the mat. And we'll start with our feet hips width distance apart. Bend your knees so that you can rest your belly on your thighs. So you might have to bend the knees quite a bit to make this happen. And then release the head and the neck. You can either keep your hands on the floor or find your ragdoll pose. So you're reaching for opposite elbows and letting your head hang in that frame that you've made. Now power up your legs a little bit more. First, by finding an inner thigh rotation, like you were trying to turn the seams of your pants back, and then allowing the head to hang heavy like a bowling ball down towards the floor. Start to play with your weight coming slightly more towards the toes. Really nice. Yeah, fantastic work, everybody. Imagine the top of your head actually touching the floor. That's how heavy, like your head was a bowling ball. And then release those hands all the way down to touch the mat and start to roll up your spine 1 vertebra at a time, coming all the way up to stand. Head and shoulders being the last things to arrive all the way at the top. Spinning the palms to face forward so that you're coming into your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Inhale to sweep your arms all the way out and up, bringing your palms to press above your head. And then exhale, bend your knees, crease your hips. So there's a sense of tilting forward from your pelvis to fold all the way back down to the floor. Hands to the mat, forehead towards your shins. Inhale to your half lift. Plant your palms on the floor, step back to your bent knee, downward facing dog. Now roll it forward, start to scoop your tailbone. We're gonna take it to a high plank pose. So starting with that bend in your knees and articulating 1 vertebra at a time forward until your shoulders stack over your wrists. You might need to walk those feet a little bit further back if your shoulders come in front of your wrists. Press in wide and through your upper back. And then exhale, you can always bring knees down for this. We're gonna transition all the way onto our bellies. So elbows hug in and back, chest moves forward, and we bring it all the way down to the floor. Tops of the feet to the mat, curl up, chest lifts, elbows hugging in tight towards the sides of the ribs. Hands traction back to draw the chest forward, and you're pressing those toes actively down into the floor. Release all the way back down to your forehead. Now you have 2 options for your transition. Option 1 would be pressing straight up to the top of a push-up. Option 2 is taking it down into, or rather taking it back to child's pose. Take a breath in to prepare. Exhale either up or back, and then hips up and back to downward facing dog. Look forward to the top of the mat, and you might walk or you might take bigger steps this time. Maybe right foot steps to right thumb, left foot to left thumb, and we find that half lift, hands to the shins, crown forward, tailbone back, belly button in and up. And then exhale, release into your forward folds. Inhale the arms all the way out and up, bringing your palms to press above your head. Think about pulling your hip points up, firming up the fronts of your thighs. Then bend your elbows into the shape of a cactus. Tip the elbows forward, the chest up, curling into a little bit more of a back bend. Keeping the strength of your legs and the lift of your hips to protect the lower back. Inhale, arms reach all the way back up again. Exhale, hands to heart center. We'll move through that vinyasa one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, release your hands down. Step back to your bent knee, downward facing dog. Roll forward through your spine, coming into your high plank pose. Option to bring it all the way down to your belly on knees or with knees lifted. Cobra pose again, so elbows stay hugging and tight. We want to keep the hips down. Soften those shoulders down and away from your ears. Nice. And then exhale, lower all the way back down to your forehead. Oh my gosh, Katie, so sweet. Let's either take it to child's pose or the top of a push-up. And then take the hips back to downward facing dog. Look forward to the space between your hands. We stepped right foot forward last time. So let's take left foot forward and then right foot steps to meet it. And then find your half lifts. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up to stand, adding that back bend. Hips forward, elbows cactus. Curling open and open and open. It's a wave action through the upper back. So rather than dumping into the lower spine, we're opening through the thoracic spine. Arms reach all the way back up to frame the ears. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we're gonna start to add a little bit of play to what we're working on today. You're gonna bring the feet to touch if you practice with Utkatasana with feet together, or keep those feet like equal signs if you practice with your feet separate. And we're gonna send those hips low and back like you were sitting in an invisible chair. Arms reach back behind you, and then bring those arms up to frame your ears. Now bring the weight into your right foot. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. Straighten your right leg and bring your fingertips towards the floor. So if you see what I'm working with here, I'm rounded through my upper back. My belly is hollowed towards my spine, and I'm working to bring my nose and my knee close to touching. I'm working to reach my fingertips down towards the floor. Spread out those right toes so you've got a nice strong area to work with. Now start to kick that left foot back behind you. Some of this will be unfamiliar, but I promise we'll build this vocabulary, so we'll have a chance to revisit. It'll get a little bit more familiar. So that left foot is kicking back, which you should feel in your left glute without that left hip going back, so hips stay facing forward. Take a giant step back so that you're landing in a lunge. You want to make sure that that front knee doesn't come in front of the ankle. If it does, you can shimmy that front foot a little bit further forward. So front knee is bent, back leg is straight and strong. You're high on the ball of the back foot. Start to straighten your front leg as you bend your back knee. And this is probably different what most folks have done before. I want you to lean back. So now your front leg is a diagonal line that leads all the way up to your shoulders. Hips drive forward, tailbone reaches towards that front heel. You're leaning back with nice broad collarbones, strong core, squeezing those glutes. Keep your front leg straight and straighten your back leg. Reach your arms back behind you. Press your left heel down towards the floor. So now your torso is parallel to the mat. I want you guys to have a chance to get this vocabulary of movement. So let's try that again. Front leg stays straight, back knee bends, hips drive forward, but you're leaning back with your head and your shoulders. Squeeze your glutes. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Inner thighs drawn together is gonna help you to keep the balance. And then take it all the way forward again. Back heel presses down, long flat back. See if you can square your hips up. So pull that left hip forward from the scissor action of inner thigh towards the right inner thigh. One last time, bending that back knee, lean back, front leg stays straight. So that right big toe pressing towards the front of the mat will help. All right. Final time, back heel presses towards the floor. This time we're gonna bring the hands all the way down to frame the front foot. So back heel is pressing towards the mat. It may not come all the way down. So normally we would shorten our stance in pyramid pose. We're not gonna do that today. Scissoring inner thighs together, tailbone lifts up, belly draws in, folding forward over that front leg. Try to scissor the inner thighs together here. Now start to bring the weight back. You're gonna come up onto your right heel. You're gonna bend that left knee again, and we're gonna sink all the way down towards a pistol squat. So for most of us, right heel is gonna start on the floor, but you might be able to bring your hands next to your hip and lift your right foot off of the floor. This is just an option, play with it. What helps with this is that there's a rounding through your spine. Tailbone is tucking slightly, belly is drawing in. See if you can do your best. Great. Breathing for 3. Active reach through your heel, tightening lower belly for 2. On 1, bring all 4 corners of that right foot all the way back to the floor, and then walk your hands forward and take the left leg straight back behind you. So now we've got our warrior 3, but with the hands supported on the mat. Turn that left hip to face down towards the floor. Curl that left knee in towards your nose, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come all the way back up to stand. Hands reaching for the outer edges of the feet. So this should really challenge the core. Maybe your nose and your knee touch. And then step the feet, either hips width distance apart or feet together, and come into your Utkatasana pose. All right, I know that's a lot. We're gonna do this again on the other side, and each time we go through, we'll add to it a little bit. This time weight comes into your left foot. Start to bring that right knee in towards your chest. Reach your fingertips towards the floor and straighten your left leg. Hollow, hollow, hollow. Fingertips reach down, forehead towards your shin. Kick that right foot back and reach your arms up. So we want to stay a little closed off through that front body. I want you to feel this in the back of your right hamstring and your right glute. Heel lifting towards the back of your shoulder blades, arms lengthening towards the sky. Take a giant step back. Let's land in that high lunge pose. This time it's the left foot forward. Start to bend your back knee and straighten your front leg. Lean away from it. That scissor action of your inner thighs, the squeeze of your glutes and your belly are going to support you. Lean as far back as you can, but drive your hips forward and up. Start to straighten your back leg. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. Find that long neutral spine. Flat is probably not the most accurate term. And then start to bend your back knee and reach your arms forward. Hips forward, chest lifts. 2 more times. Back heel presses down, crown of the head forward, belly button draws in, little inner rotation in the thighs. Last one. Back knee bends, hips forward, left big toe driving towards that front of the mat like you could rip the mat. Take those arms back behind you, squeezing inner thighs together, start to fold forward over that front leg, releasing your hands down to frame your front foot. So this is a little bit like pyramid pose. I want you to think chest open. So front leg is straight. Yeah, my friends here in this bottom corner. Hannah, I want you to work to bring that back knee off of the floor. So it looks like pyramid pose with your right leg straight and your left leg straight. And your left hip crease is pulling back. Yes, 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 yes. Folding forward over that front leg. Just a few breaths. Think side body length as you relax through the back of the neck and the shoulders. All right, we're finding the half lift, and we're going to transition back to that squat. So start to bend your back knee and let your hips walk back towards that back heel. Hands walk back. This is a spot where blocks can come in handy if you have them. And you might just keep your left heel on the floor, but I want you to imagine that you could actually pull your left hip in and back into the hip socket. If you wanted to work towards lifting that leg, you're taking the toes straight up towards the ceiling, and you're finding a little bit of a rounding through your upper back. Belly button to spine. Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. And then on 1, bring all 4 corners of that left foot back to the floor. Walk those hands forward and spring off of your back leg. So it takes a little bit of momentum to walk those hands forward. And you're finding that reach from your head to your heel, radiating from your center, from your core. Start to curl that right knee in towards your nose. Lift your fingertips off of the floor, find that rounding here, navel towards spine. Try to straighten that left leg the best that you can, and then step your feet, either hips width distance or together, and find your chair pose, Utkatasana. Hips low and back, arms lengthening towards the sky. And then rise to stand, drive the hips forward, elbows bend, open through your front body. Maybe really starting to take your gaze back, 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 back towards the wall behind you. Legs stay strong. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. All right, so second time through, I'm gonna demo again, and then I'll try to give you guys feedback the third time round, just so that you have somebody to look at. I know this isn't a normal flow. It helps to see what's happening. Inhale, Utkatasana pose, hips sink low and back. Weight comes into your right foot. Left knee draws in towards your chest, fingertips reach towards the floor. Round through your spine, really pull that belly button back and in, back and in, back and in. Start to kick that heel back and extend your arms up. Again, we're not flaring the front body. I want you to feel this in your glute and your hamstring. Draw your heel towards the sky and your fingertips towards the sky. Take a giant step back, land in your lunge. Start to straighten your front leg, bend your back knee, lean away. Bring it all the way forward as you straighten your back leg, pressing your back heel down, arms reach back behind you. Bend the back knee, hips forward, lean away from the leg. The more you have the chance to practice this, the more I expect you guys to see if you can get it a little bit further. If you lose your balance, worst thing is that happens is you learn, okay, I leaned back a little too far. This is how we start to experience new things in the body. One last time, back heel presses down. Reach the arms forward this time. Side body lengthens, and then release those hands all the way down to frame that front foot. All right, back heel presses towards the floor. Belly button draws in, and we're folding forward over that front leg. Now you have the option of sticking with this, or option to work into a balancing pose here. We're gonna make an equilateral triangle with that front foot to our back fingers. So, hands are gonna walk behind, kind of fairly far behind that right foot, and you're coming up onto your fingertips. Thumb is facing forward, the other four fingers are facing the back of the mat. And I want you to press those fingers down. Keep driving the pelvis back and bend your left knee again. So for some of us, this might be it. Right big toe presses forward, left knee is bent, and you're pressing the fingers and the big toe that is on the floor, that front foot into the mat. Still more, keep leaning back and see if you can lift your left toes. Let's see how we're doing. Give it another whirl. Now, if your hands are next to your foot, it's not gonna work. This is super challenging, so just give it a whirl. You'll have another chance. Jennifer, that looks great. So keeping those hips back, fingers pressed down, and it's the back leg that's gonna lift. Sadie says yay. Last try if you want it. Oh, Bob's getting a little puppy love too. All right, let's walk those hands forward and we're gonna make this into a twist. So taking your left hand to the outside of your right foot, scissor inner thighs towards one another, but pull your right hip crease back as you send your left arm up sky high. So you're turning from your belly, from your chest. If you wanted to use a block underneath of your hands, or you can even pop up onto fingertips like I am. So I don't have my left palm all the way down. Sometimes with that little bit of extra arm space, it helps you to lengthen the sides of the body. And then see if you can start to take your gaze up towards the sky. Great, Evan, that looks fantastic. Jennifer, other hand to the mat. So it's a twist, you're gonna take that, yeah, exactly, perfect. Last big breath. All right, release both hands all the way down to the floor. Start to bend your back knee, drop your pelvis back. We're gonna find our pistol squat. So you're gonna reach through that right heel. And I'm gonna give you guys an option. All right, so option one is to try to come all the way to stand. This is one where blocks can come in super handy. I know it gives me just the that I need. I can't get all the way up just by hands on the floor. So you can press off the blocks with your hands and come all the way to stand, or same option that we took earlier. Start to bring the weight forward into your right foot, and then this time maybe look mom, no hands, arms reach back behind you, and you're in warrior three. Two options for your transition. Either way, whichever leg is extended is coming into the chest now. Fingertips reach down towards the floor, rounded through your spine, widen through your upper back, and then step your feet together, Utkatasana pose. Side number 2. Second side, bringing the weight into your left foot. Right knee draws in towards your chest, fingertips down, curl, round, widen the upper back. Kick that foot back behind you, heel towards the sky so that you feel your glute and your hamstring, arms reach up. Keep lifting that foot up so that you're challenging the back of your leg. Bend into your left knee, take that giant step back, find your lunge. Straighten your front leg, bend your back knee, lean back. I want you to feel the back of your body supporting you. Lean forward as you press your back heel down, arms reach back behind you. Long spine, so we want to make sure that we're not lifting the tailbone up, it's not dumping into the lower back. There's support from your front body. Bend your back knee, arms press forward, hips press forward, shoulders lean back. Last time, lean forward, back heel presses down. See if you can reach your arms towards the space in front of you. One more big breath in, reaching the arms forward as you pull your hip creases back, and then exhale, hands all the way down to the floor. Option to stay with this forward fold. So if you just want to open up those hamstrings, those hips, working the strength of your adductors, those inner thighs drawing together, that's great. Stay put here. If you wanted to try that balancing pose, hands walk back, and you're turning the thumb so it's facing the front of the mat. The fingertips are facing back, and you're up on your fingertips. When you look at the space between your foot to hand and hand to hand, it should be equal lengths. Now keep your hips moving back. Press your left big toe forward, bend your right knee so that you're starting to feel that balance, and this might be it. Still more, this side is a little more challenging for me. Keep those hips leaning back, squeeze that right knee in. Woo! Really work that core. I'm gonna take a look, see how you guys are doing. This kind of stuff just takes practice. Glow is like, heck no, I'm not doing this. No, you had it, you did great. All right, turn the hands to face forward again. And we're gonna start to bend that back knee. So bending into the back knee so that you're coming into your pistol squat. Remember that your left heel can stay down, but maybe you're working to lift that left heel off of the floor. Maybe this time seeing if you can bring one or maybe both of your hands in front of your heart. Get a little bit of balance. Whew. And then placing the hands either on the mat or maybe grabbing your blocks. 2 options. The option 1 is to try to press straight up. So a little bit of a press off of your fingertips, we come all the way to stand. Or option 2, weight starts to come forward, we're pressing off of the back foot, all 4 corners of the left foot come down, and you're in Warrior 3 pose. Nice. All right, whatever leg is extended, whether it's forward or backward, curl that knee in towards your chest, round it out, and then step the feet to the floor. Utkatasana pose, arms reach up. Exhale, forward fold, hands come all the way down to the floor. Inhale to your half lift. Plant your hands, step or jump it back. Taking it through your vinyasa or taking it straight to downward facing dog if you'd like. A little palate cleanser. All right, inhale, take your right leg sky high. Bend your right knee, open your right hip towards the ceiling, and then circle that right knee forward a few times. A big rotation of that right knee towards the front of the mat. And then take that right foot up towards the ceiling. I want you to keep the bend in your knee, but keep the hip facing down towards the floor. So this is a little different than what we might normally do. Instead of opening the hips are square, but you're lifting that foot weight up towards the ceiling. Come up onto your left fingertips, and you might just challenge your balance while you kind of got your right hand and your left foot taking the bulk of the weight on the mat. Try to hug them towards one another a little bit. See if you can get your balance and then lift your left fingertips off of the mat. So now you've got just your right hand and your left foot on the floor. Final option is elephant pulling its own tail. You're gonna reach back with that left hand, catch the top of your right foot, and kick that foot back as you look forward without really flaring your front body. This is another one. It takes a little bit of practice. The key is moving really, really slow. So that right heel, nice glow. That's beautiful. Way up towards the ceiling. Yes. Nice. Amber, is that you who's got that? That's fantastic. I jinxed you. All right, release that foot. Curl the knee in towards your nose, roll forward, round, and step that right foot all the way up in between your hands. Inhale, lift all the way up, find your high lunge pose. Exhale, bend your back knee, straighten your front leg, lean away. Bring it forward, back heel presses down, arms reach forward. Exhale to your twist. Left hand comes to the outside of your right foot. And the back heel might not be all the way down, that's okay. Turning from your belly, from your chest. Pull that right hip crease back. Circle your hands all the way down to the floor. Bend your back knee, we're gonna take it back. One last time for your pistol squat. We'll take it a little bit differently this time though. Right heel lifts if you can, otherwise you're just keeping that right heel down. Start to bring the weight forward, we come to our warrior three. So weight comes into your right foot, left foot goes straight back behind you. Lift that left foot up to the height of the hip, turn the hip to face down. Reach in both directions. Now if you'd like, extend those arms forward. Great. Maybe even bringing your hands to touch. Bob, that's beautiful. Reaching in both directions from heel to the crown of the head. Curl that back knee in towards your chest. So we've got that same action. You're curling that right knee in towards your chest. You're rounded through your upper back. Big wide space between your shoulder blades. Keep that knee drawing in towards your chest this time as you rise all the way to stand. Now cross your right ankle or right foot over the top of the left thigh. If that's not available in your body, you can take tree pose. So it's either right ankle flexed over left thigh or right foot on the inside of your left thigh. I'll turn so you guys can see me maybe a little bit better here. And then you're gonna start to sink your hips low and back, like you were sitting in an invisible chair. Left hip crease pulls out wide, right knee presses back, but you're keeping your chest lifted. Keep the tone of your lower belly as maybe you drop it just a little bit lower. If you're taking tree pose, you can stay standing, arms reaching up towards the sky. And then release those hands all the way down to the floor. Keep pressing your right knee back as you straighten your left leg. A little stretch out through your right hip. Inhale, hands come back to heart center. Let's rise all the way back up to stand. One last time, sweep those arms all the way up to frame your ears. And then as you exhale, curl that knee in towards your chest. And this time, extend your right leg forward. So lifting your right foot up to the height of your right hip, plugging the right hip in and back and lengthening the fingertips towards the ceiling. Now it's okay if the leg isn't quite straight. Yeah, these look great. There's a tendency to want to lean back. Do your best to keep your torso centered. Tammy, that looks fantastic. One more big breath in. And then exhale, step your feet together. Bend those elbows, find your cactus shape. Heart lifts as the shoulder blades nestle behind the chest. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Vinyasa or don't, your option. We're gonna meet in downward facing dog. All right, so from downward facing dog, left leg lifts up and back. And to start with, you can open that hip so that you can circle the left knee forward a few times. You're finding that range of motion through your left hip. Nice. And then from here, you're gonna take that left foot up towards the sky. Keep the bend in your left knee, but keep the hip facing down. So you're paralleling that left hip to the floor. Now come up onto your right fingertips. Right fingertips are on the mat. See if you can recalibrate your balance. So take a moment. It's the left hand and right foot that are on the floor. And then finally, see if you can reach back with the right hand to catch the tail. You all are doing so fantastic with pets in the way. Mary, I see that you have a fluffy one who's trying to help. Hannah, nice job. That was gorgeous. Awesome. All right, release the foot if you have it. Bring both hands to the floor, and let's step that left foot all the way up in between the hands. Inhale, coming all the way up into your high lunge. Strong and straight back leg to start. Arm bones moving back, chest lifting up. Start to bend your back knee, straighten your front leg, lean back. Should be a lot of work for that back quadricep and for your glutes. And then keep that front leg straight, press your right heel down, reach your arms forward above the head. Squeeze those inner thighs towards one another and tighten the belly to the spine as you reach from your head to your sits bones, or from your fingers to your sits bones. Release the hands all the way down to the floor. Walk your right hand over to the outside of your left foot and extend your left arm up towards the ceiling. Try to keep your right hip crease pulling back. So there's a tendency for us to want to twist everything. I want you to make the twisting action predominantly through your midsection. If you need to, you can always put your hand on the inside of the foot instead. These look great. Awesome. Yeah, and if you lose your balance, just reset, try again. Bring both hands all the way down to the floor. Start to walk those hands back towards start to bend your back knee as you walk your hands back towards your right foot and lift your left foot up. Bring that left foot all the way down to the floor. Maybe you're doing this without hands, so we want to think driving force. You're pressing off of those back toes, chest forward, gaze forward, and then right foot lifts. And you're coming to warrior three. Even if you don't land it right off the bat, just taking a moment to find the pose once you're there. Arms extending towards the space in front of you, maybe even interlacing all but your forefinger, crossing your thumb. Yes, this looks great. If you lose it, start over, try again. And then curl that extended leg in towards your chest. Pull that knee in towards your chest. Cross that ankle over top of your thigh so you've got this number 4 shape happening in your legs. And then start to sink your hips low and back. Option if you want to come into tree pose. So if you're taking tree pose, you're just gonna extend those arms and keep it upright. This is also external rotation for that hip. If you wanted to take it into a little bit more of a chair pose, you're sinking your hips low and back. Keep the active flicks of that left foot. Left knee moves out, chest moves forward. Still more, hands come all the way down to the floor, hips lift up, dropping your forehead down towards your shin. Keep that left knee moving away from you as you lift your tailbone way up. Now, if you need to, bend that standing leg just a little bit to rise all the way back up to stand. And this time you're gonna extend that left leg forward as the arms reach up towards the sky. Nice job. Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. I've got a great view of Evan's foot. Breathing for 1. Waving with the toes. And then exhale, you're gonna step those feet together. Hips forward, elbows bend, chest curls up. Add the back bend. Inhale, arms sweep all the way back up to frame your ears. Exhale, fold it all the way down to the floor. Inhale, half lifts. Exhale, plant your palms, step, walk, jump those feet back. Let's take it through the vinyasa. All right. So from your downward facing dog, inhale, take your right leg up and back, right knee bends. Circle that hip forward just a few times. And then lift that right foot way up towards the ceiling, but square your hips off. So we're making sure that that right hip is facing down towards the floor. One more time to try elephant pulling its own tail. Coming up onto left fingertips. The more that you press that right hand forward, and the more you keep driving your hips back, the easier it's gonna be to find the balance. And then start to reach back with that left hand. Maybe catch the top of the foot. Kicking the foot into the hand this time, start to curl your gaze forward. And then release the foot, bringing left hand to the floor. We're gonna take it to pigeon pose. Right knee towards the back of your right wrist. Right foot towards the back of your left wrist. You wanna make sure that that knee has its own lane, so it's not in front of your hip, it's more out to the side. And if you can bring that leg close to parallel to the top of the mat, great. Don't worry about it if you can't. If you can't, it's more of a diagonal line. Now make sure that that back leg is straight back behind you, pressing all 10 of those back toenails to the floor. Walk your hands back so that maybe they're either framing your hips or maybe you've got a hand on the knee and a hand on the foot. We're gonna add a little bit of a back bend here. There's a hug of the inner thighs towards one another, so you're really working your inner legs and you're rising up tall. Hands can also be next to the hips, fingertips on the floor, but shoulder blades are kind of pulling down and together as the heart lifts up. And then exhale, start to walk those hands forward and bring your forearms all the way down to the floor. Again, if you have props and you wanted to support yourself a little bit, you might slide something underneath of that right hip. And let's keep it just a little bit active, a little traction of those hands back and the chest pulling forward. And you'll notice that when you do that, instead of rounding, yeah, almost everybody got really cozy, comfy, which is great, but that's like your dessert, and I'll let you have dessert after you do the, the broccoli. So hands are tractioning back and chest is drawing forward. It keeps the pose just a little bit more active. That's great adjustments, my friends. And then we start to round. Then you can start to walk those hands even a little bit more forward if you'd like. I particularly like this to be a more active posture, but if you wanted that splat, you all have worked hard, you've earned it, so. All right, so you can either stay put here or start to walk the hands back towards your legs to roll up your spine. So you're coming into a seated position, or you're coming into your upward pigeon or upright pigeon. And option one is staying here, or option two, and I'll turn myself this way so you guys get a better view, is to take this into a little bit more of a twist. So that right elbow can either come to the center of your mat, pressing down, or if you can bring it all the way into the arch of your foot, try that. Press down, lift up, top hand is gonna go over the fist of your bottom hand, and you're gonna turn from your belly, from your chest. But keep that left hip rolling forward. This one can be a bit of a challenge, so if you wanted to bring it just to the center of the mat, that's an option as well. But scissor that left hip forward as you turn your belly and your chest open. All right, release those hands all the way down to the floor. If you've got a block underneath of your right hip, go ahead and slide it out to the side so that you can bring your left leg forward. This is gonna be our opportunity for a little bit of arm balancing today. I'm gonna say ahead of time that if this arm balance is not in the realm for today, don't feel like you have to do it. You can work on something else. You can work on a headstand, you can work on your Bakasana pose, but this is called grasshopper. So we're gonna start by bringing our right foot over the top of the left thigh. Hands can come behind. And this is spot number one. So if you were like, heck no, I don't wanna do an arm balance today, this is a great place to stay. You'll open up that hip more by walking your left foot towards your left glute. Little rock side to side. My favorite part of getting towards this one is this kind of silly transition. So we come next into yogi toe stand. You walk your hands forward towards your feet, and it's gonna lift you up onto the ball of your left foot. Nice, Tammy. Oh, I didn't even see your tights earlier, Tammy. Those are super cute. All right, so from here, it looks a little bit like the pigeon pose that we just did. You're gonna bring both hands to the outside of your left hip. And I want you to work to climb. You'll notice I have to bring my foot way up onto the back of the tricep. So my right foot is on my right tricep. My left elbow is holding up my left hip. Now I'm gonna lean away from my legs, but I'm not looking down, I'm looking forward, and I'm gonna start to bear weight into those arms, and I'm lifting my left foot. And then still more, maybe those left toes go forward. Yes, nice, Katie. Again, like I said, if this one isn't in the realm today and there's something else you wanna work on, if you wanna try crow pose or if you wanna get on your head, awesome. All right, you guys did great. Let's try side number two. So, you're gonna rock and roll it onto your back. Take a few rocks. This is your palate cleanser. So whatever happened, if you hated it, if you loved it, if you never want to do it again, just rock it all out of your system. Cross your ankles, hands to the floor, and you're going to take it through a vinyasa or simply step back to downward facing dog. This is your option. And from downward facing dog, no rush if you're still working your way there. You can add whatever you want. Push-ups are a good idea, Evan. From downward facing dog, we're gonna take that elephant pulling its tail again. So left leg lifts up and back. Do a few hip circles forward, little hip mobility. And then keep that left hip facing down. Flex the foot way up towards the ceiling. Come up onto your right fingertips. And then find the balance. Take your time. Remember that slow movements are key for this one. If we think we're gonna like sneak up on ourselves, you're gonna lose your balance. You're gonna reach back and see if you can catch the top of that left foot with your right hand. Tammy, you were so close. Oh, nice, Katie. All right, release the foot slowly. See if you can come out the same. Oh, that was beautiful. Curl the knee in towards your nose. And then you're gonna place your left knee behind your left wrist, left foot behind right wrist for pigeon. We start with the activity, so find that squeeze, that hug in towards midline. Hands start to walk back so that they're either next to your hips or you might have your hands on the knee and on the foot. Whatever option you're in, I want you to pull that right hip forward by squeezing that right inner thigh towards your left inner thigh. It's gonna naturally level off your pelvis. And then work to bring your shoulders so that they stack over top of your hips, which is going to give you more of a stretch on your back psoas muscle, your hip flexors. Lift, lift, lift up and out of the sides of the waist. I didn't mention this on the other side, but if you're feeling fancy, maybe hands come to heart center. Keep the lift up and out. We're not dropping down into the pelvis. Yeah. And then let your hands release down to the floor. Walk your forearms forward. Let's keep the first few breaths really, really active. So it's a little bit like Sphinx pose. Hands are pulling back to draw the chest forward. You're pressing all 10 of your back toes to the floor, and there's still that magnetism of your inner thighs towards one another. Really nice. I love seeing everybody's yoga rooms. Is that, I'm being sneaky. Start to walk your hands forward, bringing your forearms down, maybe your forehead down, if you so desire. Remember, this is just an option. And this one can be a little bit more relaxed, so you can start to let those inner thighs release. I've got puppy butt view from Tammy. 3 deep breaths. Notice where your mind goes. It's harder to stay kind of concentrated in the body when we're on our own sometimes. So just do the best that you can to return to your body, to the sensations. And you can either stay here or you might start to walk those hands in towards your legs so that we can set ourselves up for the twist. Now remember, key first and foremost, I want you to make sure that that right hip stays pulling forward. The tendency when we twist is that that right hip wants to pull back. So try to keep that level first, which might mean that you're just bringing the elbow to the center of the mat. And I know this feels like a lot of weight on the elbow. The more you lift up and out, the less weight is dumping down. Now right hand goes over top of your left hand. Right hip pulls forward and then you're turning from your belly, from your chest. Here's another thing that will help to keep the pelvis level. Give your left hip its own lane. So imagine that the left hip was like the corner of a blanket and you were trying to pull it out to the side. So it's giving itself a little bit more space. And then unwind back to center, hands to the floor. If that left hip is resting on something, go ahead and slide it to the side and extend your right leg forward, bringing the 4 corners of that right foot to the mat. You'll place the left foot over top of your right thigh. If you're struggling to get the foot there or if it hurts your knee, move your right foot further away from you. To get closer in, move that right foot in towards your butt. This is such a nice way to get this hip stretch, and you can rock, you can move a little forward and back. You're exploring the range of motion, just kind of getting into your IT band, your piriformis, all of the muscles that help to Give your hips range of motion. And you might stay put here. This is a great spot to just chillax. You guys have worked extremely hard today. Or you might play with an arm balance of your choice. I will not be offended if you choose to do something different. Otherwise, you're gonna start to walk those hands forward towards your right foot until you're popping up into a yogi toe stand, which means that your right glute is resting on the back of your right heel. Still more from here, you're gonna add that twist. So left hand comes over and you might even help it a little bit. You're gonna kind of climb your left foot as high up on your left forearm as you can get it. The more twist you get through the spine, the better. And your hands are facing away from the hip. Elbows bend in. You're gonna lean with those elbows in a bend and then see if you can lift your right toes. And maybe that's it. Still more, maybe that right leg extends. Glow, that was awesome. Nice toe stand there in the bottom. I know it's Hannah and somebody else. I need to ask names at the end of the practice. All right, let's bring it all the way back down again when you're ready. Extend both legs out in front of you. Give your knees a little shimmy shake. Take a big breath in, lengthen the sides of the waist, reach up. And then exhale, reach forward. Long spine, maybe catching the outer edges of your calves, your ankles, or your feet. Try to keep the chest lifted rather than rounding through your upper back. So you're drawing shoulder blades kind of down the back, broadening through your collarbones. Pull your belly button towards your spine, bend your elbows in, and fold forward over your legs. If you're fairly flexible, you might be interlacing your fingers around the balls of the feet, or if you have a block, you can place a block around the outer edges of your feet. Releasing your forehead down towards your shins. Maybe even moving your sits bones a little bit further back behind you, giving you slightly more of a tilt forward in your pelvis. Inhale to roll yourself all the way back up into a seated position. Sweep your arms up to frame your ears, and then we're gonna take it down onto our backs nice and slow. So let's find that articulation of the spine here. Keep your chest lifted and start to roll so that first it's your sacrum that's hitting the mat, and then it's your lower back and your middle back, and then maybe your shoulder blades until eventually all the way down onto the back with your arms next to your sides. And if there's another shape that you'd like to make, I know for me, happy baby always makes me feel like my practice is finished. Catching the outer edges of the feet, driving those knees down towards the armpits, maybe taking a little rock side to side, maybe a spinal twist, maybe a back bend, really whatever tickles your fancy and helps you to feel complete in your practice. And then let's come all the way down onto the back, letting your legs extend out to the right and the left edges, letting your arms come down next to your sides, palms face up. Final resting pose, Shavasana. Taking a big breath in, breathing in like you were breathing in through every single pore on your body. And then breathing out and trusting the back boundary of your body to be supported by the earth. There's a sense of almost letting your back body become like liquid, that you don't have to hold yourself up at all. And you might imagine or bring up the image of the seed that you planted at the beginning of your practice. Maybe it looks a certain way. See if you can burrow it into the soil, that kind of nutritious, energetic space that speaks to you now, whether it's your lower abdomen, your roots, or maybe it's in the center of your heart, your fire. And in these last few moments of your practice, feeling your awareness and your breath landing in that fertile soil. Maybe just maybe a seedling begins to sprout. Roots pushing down, green tendrils pushing up and out towards the sun. And you are welcome to stay in Shavasana for longer, but if you have other things that need to happen this evening, just starting to find a little bit of movement, maybe rolling onto a side or rocking yourself up to a seat with your eyes closed. Just for the last few moments of practice, let's breathe together. I know we can't hear each other's breath, but imagine that you can feel that support. A hand to the belly, a hand to the chest. Inhale through your nose. And at the top of that inhale, pause, hold the breath, lifting up on your pelvic floor, your lower belly, and bringing your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Imagine the image of that plant growing, 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 pulling up towards the dome of your skull. And then open your mouth and exhale. And then bring your hands together, thumb knuckles touch your third eye center, take a breath in again. Fill up and hold your breath. Tongue to the roof of the mouth. Find your lower bandhas. Pull the energy, the prana from the base of your spine up, 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 up. And exhale it out through your mouth. Finally, extend those arms up towards the sky, up towards the ceiling, elbows in tight, thumbs crossed. One last time, take that breath in. Imagine that breath moving all the way out through your fingertips into the sky. Hold the breath in. And then exhale, release. Let your hands come all the way back down into your laps. Thank you all so much for joining me for the practice this evening. It was so good to see you all. If you wanted to turn on your audio at the end of practice, if you have questions about anything, whether it's logistics about this kind of practice or whether you have questions about the things that we did, feel free. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful evening.